This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, I'd like to welcome everybody to our Lander County Board of Commissioners meeting, July 11th, 2024, Austin Courthouse. All times on this agenda are approximate. Consideration of items may require more or less time than is scheduled. Items on the agenda may be taken out of order. The public body may combine two or more agenda items for consideration, and the public body may remove an item from the agenda or delay discussion relating to an item on the agenda at any time. Public comment is designated for discussion only. The public has the opportunity to address the commission on any matter not appearing on the agenda. However, no action may be taken on any matter raised until the matter itself has been specifically included on the agenda as an item upon which action may be taken. Additionally, public comment may be heard on any item listed on the agenda. Persons are invited to submit comments in writing and or attend and make comments on any agenda item at the Lander County Commissioners Board meeting. All public comment may be limited to 3 minutes per person at the discretion of the commission. Please note that the public body may interrupt the open meeting and exclude the public for the purposes of having an attorney-client discussion of potential and existing litigation, which is pursuant to NRS 241-015-3B2. I will call this meeting to order. And Dee, would you lead us in the pledge this morning?
Sure.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. We'll have a moment of silence. Lander County Commissioners may break for lunch from 12 p.m. to 1:15 p.m. Any agenda item may be taken out of order, may be combined for consideration by the public body, and items may be pulled or removed from the agenda at any time. We'll go to Commissioners' reports on meetings, conferences, and seminars attended. Dee, we'll start with you.
I have none today.
Okay.
I do not have any.
Okay.
I have nothing to report.
All right.
On the hospital board last night, the grant for the new equipment for the expansion came in to pay for it. Plus they added an additional 300,000 for proper maintenance and care for long-term success of the units to be used as needed. That was about it.
Okay. Thank you. We'll move to staff reports on meetings, conferences, and seminars attended.
The county manager is not here today. He had a personal issue he had to deal with this morning, so he will jump on when he can and get us to proceed, as well as anybody that's interested in lunch. We are serving lunch at the senior center today at noon.
Okay. Okay, so we'll move into public comment for non-agenda items only. Is there any public comment?
Just me for the record, I just wanted to thank Lander County for the support with the rodeo and helping us get that situated. We have a fantastic turnout. We saw right around 500 people attend the rodeo, and we had 60 plus contested. So,
Wow.
Yeah, it was fantastic. So thank you guys.
Is there any other public comment for non-agenda items? Okay. We'll move into our consent agenda. All matters listed under the consent agenda are considered routine and may be acted upon by the Board of County Commissioners with one action, without extensive discussion. Any member of the board or any citizen may request that an item be taken from the consent agenda, discussed and acted upon separately during this meeting. Consent agenda materials are available at the Lander County Clerk's office for viewing, and copies are available for a nominal charge. 1, approval of July 11th, 2024 agenda notice. 2, approval of April 25th, 2024 meeting minutes. 3, approval of May 9th, 2024 meeting minutes. 4, approval of May 23rd, 2024 meeting minutes. 5, approval of June 20th, 2024 meeting minutes. 6, approval of June 27th, 2024 meeting minutes. And 7, approval of payroll change requests. We have items 1, 3, and 7 that we need to vote on. Is there a motion?
Motion to approve consent agenda items 1, 3, and 7.
I'll second it.
So we have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, moving on, we'll move to item 1.1 for discussion of possible action to disapprove the payment of bills. We need to pull 224410.
Make a motion that we pay the remainder of the bills.
Okay, we have a motion. Is there a second? And a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay.
I'll make a motion that we pay 224410 check number.
Okay, we have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, motion and second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, and I will abstain. It's made to my client. Okay, so we'll move into 1.2. Review, consideration, and possible action on a business improvement program request in the amount of $25,000 for Incline Hospitality LLC DBA, Comfort Inn, Battle Mountain, to install a new sign, replace an exterior door, and installation of a water feature and fire pit for a property located at 521 East Front Street, Battle Mountain. This was considered and denied at the June 20th, 2024 Commissioner meeting. The applicant requested that the item be reconsidered. They have submitted an additional bid for the addition of a water feature with a fire pit to be located on the property frontage. Okay, so that's open for discussion. Any commissioners have anything on it?
I will after the presentation.
Pardon?
I will after the presentation.
Okay. Do we have the property owner here?
Yes.
Okay. Could you come up front and kind of tell us what your plans are and,
Good morning. I've showed this in your meeting from the last meeting.
can you state your name for the record, sir?
My name is Jody Singh, I'm the assistant manager.
Okay.
Comfort Inn. We manage that property for the owner, for Incline Hospitality. We took over last June from them. This business was closed for about 8 months, or 9 months, from 2023 to February 1st of this year, when it reopened. And I was, my sincere apology, we were not here during the last meeting. So Shelby sent me a video, and the video was missing right around the time you guys were discussing this property. So I did not know what was the reason it was denied. But I had a long discussion with the planning department before we submitted for this. I'm told that everything for upfront could be approved, but it's, obviously it's up to you guys. So that's why we submitted a bid for the sign. And I think there's some additional items, but since then we put submit additional invoices for a water feature that will be right on the front and something that no other property in that front has. So like I said, I don't know what was it tonight, but any question you have.
Okay, so any commissioners have questions?
So on the sign, it was discussed, it is not really to us, use of taxpayers' money for beautification purposes, the door as well. I continue to hold that stance in my belief. One thing we do off of this, looking at the bids and looking it over, is we are using Lander County taxpayer funds, either from the minerals that come out of the ground at Lander County and so on and so forth. So the bid is from a group out of State Line. If they're the cheapest, that's fair enough. But I myself can't go without even a local bid. We have local contractors that do landscaping. We have, I think 911 Emergency does it. There's several other people that are licensed to do it. I can't go with a $57,000, $500 or $57,500 bid. I like the features if that's what it is. My request for me would be that it would have to be out front, not secure tight to the building. It has to let the people of Lander County and Battle Mountain see what it is. It's a beautification process for the county. So to me, it would have to be out front, visible. The pictures, if that's the unit that was bid, that's fine. But before I can support it, I would like to see some local businesses have the opportunity to bid, or if you have them, to get them presented before I'll proceed.
Yeah, I would think, Shelby, and so when they're submitting bids, do we require them to submit at least 3 bids? Just so that we know that this is like a straight up and it's being bid and it's not going to, maybe business's friend or something like that? I mean, what's the checks and balances to make sure that we're getting a fair bid to spend taxpayers' dollars on?
So Shelby, not for the record. So when we were going over the guidelines for this program, initially we had in there that they would need 3 bids. But then it was brought up that it's difficult to get contractors and bids in Battle Mountain. So we lowered the requirement to only 1 bid.
Okay, well, I would agree with Commissioner Top that I know there's people here locally in Lander County that does this type of work. I would like to see possibly a bid from them as a comparative. I'm as well in agreement with Mr. Chop that I don't see how the sign or the security feature of the door is basically utilizing the funds to beautify the business. I like the water pick feature, I like the fence, I like that whole concept, but I'd like to see, like I said, with something more than just that one bid. Because it seems like an awfully large amount.
57.
Unless it's a very large thing that you're doing on your property, sir. Yeah, I can't at this particular point in time without, I mean, I know there's people out at Elko too, that do this type of work, that do other work here in town for Battle Mountain, because I've had friends work done by them for friends, so. Any other commissioners have anything to
I
say?
agree with that.
I agree with that. Along with reply, project like this, normally we can finish it for 90 days. In Battle Mountain, it took us almost a year. We spent, $2.5 million on this property. We pretty much took this property from Cocaine Inn to Comfort Inn. We worked with the local sheriff's office, flushed out all the drug addicts that were there. And no bank, as of today, we can finance this property, refinance this property. Every money that went in is cash money. We have other properties as well. Because, hey, first it's a rural area, no loans available. Then you have to have a flag hotel. So we kind of fulfill both of those requirements. Like I said, we spent roughly around 2.5. What we ask, what this grant is, to you guys, is that 1% of that. We put that much money in this community. We hope we just have 1% pay for that. Second, it is very hard, if not next to impossible, to find contractor from this county, not this county, but this town, to come work for us. I just grew up, everything. We had crew out of Carson City to come in, work there. We paid them $82,000 in food over 1 year that was spent in this town. Since we took over in February until June 30th, we have $120,000 in payroll. Not to mention all the room tax that has gone up. And we have 18 people that work there. When we took over in last year, they have 2 employees. So we are investing in this town, but I can guarantee you this. Yes, this bid is from outside. These are the same people. They did water feature for Edgewood Top, that was $150 million hotel. I can guarantee you right now, next time I'm here, any bid I have on the pipeline is more than this.
Well, that's just the point, sir. We don't know that because there's no bid in front of us.
First of all, if I find one to do that job, this is not a pre-made feature. This is, to answer your question, Mr. Chop, this feature will go outside, right in the medical flag. It's not behind or it's not attached to the building anyway. This is a custom built feature. We don't have chairs around it. And then we're putting a water feature on both sides of the entrance. These are custom features. So I can come back, but I can find someone to do that kind of
I have something I want to say. I had a victim advocacy. I was working out of that hotel before you guys took it over. And it was horrible conditions in that hotel. And I do have to say, giving them credit that they have done a lot. And so are all the floors usable now?
Yes.
Okay, where they were not before. And they really have sunk a lot of money into that whole hotel because it was very very, very run down. So I do want to give you credit for that and thank you for that because you guys do a lot of work with it.
We're trying to beautify it, make this property all on the street. Can we survive on this one? Yes, but we're trying to go extra mile. This is not a financial benefit to us, don't get this wrong way. Approve the grant and approve the grant, I'm not gonna say something I can't back up. That's just my life motto. So, this is just to make this property more beautiful. It took us, a local guy, it took us 8 months to just fix our swimming pool. We're trying to do this, finish this. Landscaping took us about 8 months, we can't find people. I wish we could finish this in 90 days. We're sitting on this, last year we were sitting on this property, and we're making payments on our money that we're putting in, on private money. And we had a franchise really going on that, hey, open this. We couldn't find anybody.
I'm not questioning any of that. My point is I like the feature, I see it. If it's customized, they can look at the picture and bid the same against it. But I think there has to be an effort made, is my point, to give the opportunity because it is money coming from Lander County. We're not a bank, we're not a investment firm or anything else. There'll be nothing for us out of this other than what people see when they drive down the road. So if that opportunity is, if you get the quotes or there's nobody bids it and they just, you make the request email or whatever, then you bring back 3 responses. I have no problem supporting that. The sign and the front door, I'm going to stay where that is because that's for your business. I don't see that as a beautification because everybody has old signs.
No, that's fine. The reason we submitted was on that, under the guidelines. That these are-
Understand that.
So,
So, I mean, it's option, right now I won't, but,
you want me to just email get other bids?
you put it together and send it in just like you did this, and then we get to review it. You'll work with the planning commission and
In 2 weeks.
2 weeks, every 2
Yeah,
weeks.
so basically, if you submit and they just say, we don't do that kind of work, just have them send an email, say, we're, at least the effort can be made and we can show that taxpayers, hey, we made an effort to try to reach out to local business, local contractor, because it is right. If we have a local contractor, I'd like to use them. Because we're helping local businesses, it should be twofold. If we have contractors or businesses that perform that type of work, we should give them the opportunity to be able to bid it.
Last question, how far you want me to go? You want me to go to Winnebago to Walco?
Yeah, just surrounding areas, northern Nevada, counties, yeah, exactly. I'd like to see that. Yeah.
I'll do that.
Okay, awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, we also have the liquor.
That's all different.
That's different.
Yes, that's a different item. Yeah, not right now. We'll read that in later.
Yes.
Yeah, wait there, yep.
Table or motion.
Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and, basically, we're just gonna table 1.2. Okay? All right, so now we're gonna move into 1.3. We're gonna recess the Board of Lander County Commissioners and convene the meeting of the Lander County Liquor Board composed of the Lander County Board of Commissioners and Sheriff Ron Unger. 1, for discussion of possible action to approve, disapprove the off and on sale liquor license for Balwinder Sindhu with the Comfort Inn located at 521 East Front Street, Battle Mountain, Nevada, 89820.
Thank you. This is a liquor license request that we got from the Balwinder Sindhu, I believe is the way it's now. Here. We've done all the background, everything checked out good. There's no problems. It'll be an on and off sale.
So people can buy there and carry it off?
Yes.
They can. Now, do we have any other motel, hotel establishments that do something like this? Or, I mean, is this commonplace in hotels?
We don't have the Battle Mountain, so this is the first.
Okay.
But there is, are you putting in like a little C-store type, or a little liquor store, or are you just gonna sell it from over the counter?
We have a marketplace behind the register, and that's where.
So it would go over the counter at the same place you register?
No, the marketplace is separate from the reception desk.
Is it just beer, are they just requesting beer line or full? Is this full liquor sales? Okay. So stayed in motels quite a bit. This, I haven't seen hard liquor. Hampton Inn and the newer, I think it's the newest one in Elko has this. They have a lounge area where people can sit and they have their fridges with the beer, the different beers. You can go in and sit and have it. I see it at several, especially with the chain motels. I have never experienced the hard liquor sales, but it'll be something different.
Okay. Any other commissioners' questions? Is there any public comment on it? Okay, I'll hear a motion.
I'll motion to approve the on-off sale liquor license for Ballwinder Subu with the Comfort Inn located at 521 East Front Street, Battle Mountain, Nevada 89820.
Oh, second. Okay, so we have a motion and a second to approve. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, there, sir. Okay, so we're going to adjourn the meeting of the Lander County Liquor Board and reconvene the Lander County Board of Commissioners. So for discussion and possible action, to approve, disapprove the lease agreement between Great Basin College and Lander County located at 635 2nd Street, Battle Mountain, Nevada 89820 in an amount to exceed.
That should say not to.
Okay, so it should read as in an amount not to exceed $1 per month, $12 a year.
So on this item, before you get started, I know there's a section in this contract that talks about utility payments. Lakin is not here, so I don't have the facts for it, but there is only one meter connected to those buildings, so they won't be paying that. It'll have to be a percentage, and we'll have to adjust that as we get that information, just so you guys know.
Okay, so we're within our rights to change that contract to see what that percentage is. And this is the building that they were currently in? That they're just renewing or updating the lease, is that what they're doing?
The modular, after they gave us the modular, now they're gonna lease it from us?
That I don't know. Carly, you have more information on this one?
You have to probably just because they own it.
I don't think this is the one that they gave back to us. I'm thinking this is the one that we're in.
Over is where,
The old commissioner's building.
Yes.
back when we were commissioned before.
But that's where our health nurse is.
Commissioner, this is for the Altet building, so they're gonna rent out the Altet in the back of that modular from Great Basin.
No.
Oh,
Great
from
Basin
Great- so
is
this-
renting from us.
So this is a sublease?
Let me get it clear.
So this, you're saying this lease, so they're working with adult ed, so basically,
No, I don't think adult ed's not in there anymore. I think he's just using that as to reference where the building's at. So I would table it until Sean gets more information.
Table it.
Maybe, yeah, you
We
might
can
be
come
able to
back.
find something.
Okay, that's fine.
Right, we can come back to it. and-
okay, so we're gonna just table 1.4 for the time being. With that, we'll move into 1.5. We're gonna recess the Board of Lander County Commissioner and convene the meeting of the Lander County Health Board, composed of the Lander County Board of Commissioners, Sheriff Ron Unger, and Dr. Troy Ross. Okay.
Dr. Ross, I just want to share up here for Dr. Ross.
We're limited on space here.
We'll call to order the Board of Health, our 7/11/24 meeting. And like to open this with an opportunity for public comment on any non-agenda items. With none, we'll move on to item 1 on the agenda, which is for consideration of action. It's a presentation of the updated Lander County opioids needs assessment by Amy Hines Sutherland, representing NACO. The board will consider approval of priorities identified to be submitted for state funding through the Fund for Resilient Nevada.
Thank you. Good morning. I'm Amy Hines Sutherland, Public Health Coordinator for NACO, for the record. Thank you for welcoming me here this morning. So what the presentation I have for you here is just an overview of the work that's been done on your Lander County opioid needs assessment, and happy to answer any questions throughout. Sarah. Oh, perfect, thank you. Okay, so this may be old news, but I do just want to hit on this really quickly. So an overview of those opioid funds, those Southern Nevada funds. So the Attorney General settlement funding is received, the costs and fees are removed for that negotiation that they do on behalf of the state, and then the remainder goes to the One Nevada agreement, to which Lander County is a signatory. In the One Nevada agreement, counties and cities have funds that are distributed solely for the use of opioid abatement and opioid medication. There's an annual reporting to the AG's office required, that's whether you do an assessment or not. And then a needs assessment is recommended. You do not have to do a needs assessment in order to utilize your own Lander County funds, of course. However, it's highly recommended to, one, help you all in really abating the opioid epidemic and being thoughtful about how to use those dollars. And also, it opens up what is this third box down here, the Fund for Resilient Nevada. So the Fund for Resilient Nevada is the state's portion of funds. And in order to access those funds on behalf of the county has to have completed an opioid needs assessment. And so that is what's for your review today, the results of what you've done in the county. And I just really want to applaud you for taking the step of doing the assessment. It opens your community up to a lot of opportunity to develop programs that are sorely needed across the state. So next slide, please. Okay, so the planning began in November of 2023. Your county leadership met with NACO to review opioid resources and develop an assessment plan. You all utilized Mercer Consulting to support the survey and development and data analysis. That was really prudent, as that was a free resource. $7,000 to $10,000 in technical assistance was budgeted for each county with this consultant, because they're also the consultant that supported the statewide opioid needs assessment. So with their guidance, you conducted a survey. There was a data collection from November of 2023 to March of 2024. You may recall a presentation on this many months ago, and the survey was opened back up to ensure that more residents had the access and opportunity to take the survey. It was sent out across the county. And then there was also a secondary data collection piece, which was basically a group of stakeholders working with various departments in the county and also various not-for-profits, and utilizing national and state data resources to pull in Lander County data around substance use issues and various recommended data sets needed. And then there was the analysis and plan development, and this is December 2023 to, basically just last month wrapping up. So Mercer again did some consulting analysis and provided the recommendations that you see in the report today. And then the draft plan was reviewed and feedback integrated from the leadership that had taken a look at that, and that's what you have before you. So that's your kind of methodology overview. Next slide, please. Thank you. Okay, so I'm going to spend a little bit of time with the needs assessment. You have the full survey results. I think many months ago received those, but I'm just going to do some high-level highlights here. So 197 total responses. That's a really good response rate. Next slide, please. So in response to the question, have you been impacted by the opioid epidemic or substance use or misuse? 55% of the counties said yes, they've been impacted in some way. Next slide, please. If yes, how have you been impacted? How or where? So the highest category here, 45.9% said I have used opioids or substances, or have a family member or members or friends that have used opioids or substances. Down at the bottom there, that blue, there's another section where people can share the various ways that they've been impacted. And those three responses, in many ways, could also be it was often more information given about the top three categories, people just sharing more about that personal experience. So neighbors and acquaintances impacted, and then also my place of employment has been impacted. Next question, or next slide, thank you. So how do you try to access substance use treatment for yourself, a family member or a friend who cannot? So 15%, just under 16% said that yes, they tried to access treatment and could not. Of that no, I will note it could be that they just don't, it could be that they sought treatment and got it. It could also be that they haven't taken the step to seek treatment, right? So I would just caution you to take a look at this. When you take a look at this, it is possible that there are more than 60% of people that need support that can't get it, and they just haven't taken the step to try to access it. Of course, there could be those that were able to access it too. So, okay, next slide. All right, I know this is a terrible slide, and this is kind of how the data is reported up to us on SurveyMonkey, so I'm going to go ahead and I'll leave this here for 1 second, and then go to the next slide that tells you the top 5 problems. But this is basically what the top problem areas that community members said they saw in their community. So you could either answer, I don't know, or if you didn't have an opinion, you were prompted to answer, I don't know. This is one of the top 3 issues, and this is an issue in my county. And so again, in the full data set that is not really visible here on this screen, you can get into the weeds about, the issues that are present but didn't rise to the top. But on this next slide, these are the top issues, the top 5 issues that were identified. So the first is that they said children and teens do not understand the risks of opioids and substance use. That was 34%. It is too easy for people to get opioids, 25%. Treatment and crisis services for mental health and substance use is not available or accessible enough. That was 24%. People are dying from overdoses was 23%. And then finally, community members do not have access to healthy community activities or outlets. And so here at the bottom, there's some of the other options. This was the free response write-in. And this analysis, these 3 bullets are from Mercer's very thorough qualitative analysis of all of the results that have come in. They pulled these out. So children are born in need outlets besides drugs, as well as mentors and education on the impact of substance use. That there's a need for transportation resources, as well as increased community resources for mental health and substance use. And that there's a need for an awareness campaign, such as Families and Felons Against Fentanyl. There was a significant number, we'd have to go back and identify exactly how many, but this specific initiative was mentioned in a number of the surveys. And then this is, let's see, thank you. So this is the results for which of the following supports are needed in Lander County to better serve individuals and families with substance use challenges. And something I want to highlight here and a benefit of you using the Mercer team to do this work is that they gave options that were based on the allowable uses of opioids. So there's another where people could write in what are the things that they think they need. But Mercer also recognizes that you're trying to figure out how to use either apply for state opioid funds or use your local opioid funds. And so you need to be able to spend within the allowable uses. So you can feel confident that the recommendations that have gone into the survey and the potential supports that are needed are ones that are allowable uses of the funds. So the number 1 need identified or support identified by the community members is that they wanted supports for people recovering from substance use, 76.9%. Wanted that one. The next one is prevention of substance use, 72, right? So 3/4 of the community on both of those. And then the last one, treatment for substance use, was 73%. Down from there, we have a number of other supports that are needed. And this was that community response. Next slide, please. Okay, and so this one, sorry, that grade's a little difficult, but one of the requirements of the opioid needs assessment process is that a number of communities get outreach to. Specific communities, so veterans, Native American population, those working in law enforcement and social services. So in the survey, without them personally identifying themselves as an anonymous survey, we asked, are you from any of these communities? And so that helps you all assure that you can demonstrate if you apply for funds from Fund for Resilient Nevada, you can show that your assessment and process was informed by all of these different sectors. And you did a great job of reaching out to many folks. School system was a really high response, which is great to see. And then that top one, that 46.45%, I know it's small, but that's a person or a member of a family impacted by opioids. So the fact that you got so many people with direct experience it is also a really positive thing. Okay, they're not positive they got direct experience, but positive that they.
Real quick question back to that slide. On that 46.45%, of what total votes did that come from? Do we have?
Yeah, so actually that's a fantastic question. Underneath each of these, you can see answered and skipped. So actually 155
people.
Answered, yeah. Yeah, these questions come at the end, so there's a little bit of survey fatigue by the end, so we didn't always get, or people fill it out, but they don't feel comfortable responding on that, right? I will note, part of the reason we didn't include zip code, for example, or, city, like, sometimes it is good to include those things, because then you can localize issues, but then you also run into considerations of people being like, I don't want to be identified. And so that was a conscious choice not to do that, but to try to just expand the outreach in those areas.
And I just think it's important that people realize that it's 46.45% of 155 people who answered, because if I look at it and I'm listening to the presentation, I would think, oh my gosh, we have a really, really bad problem in Lander County, because I'm thinking of Lander County as a whole. And I think these types of surveys are geared more towards people that actually, ones that have had issues with it are going to be more likely to answer than others like, oh, I'm too busy, I'm not going to answer, I don't have a problem. And then rather than registering that vote that there is no issue, give a more fair statistical data, you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, so with that, what we do try to do is get, it's a great point, right? Absolutely. And there's always issues of like who chooses to fill out a survey and who chooses not to. So yeah, absolutely, that's something to consider. I'd also say that the response rate that you kind of shoot for in these is like a 6 to 10% range. Like that's a good range to hit, which you all did, I believe. I guess I'll do the math, but it's getting there. So in terms of what a consultant would recommend, you would get in terms of breadth of response in order for you to be able to make some reasonable conclusions about what you're seeing in your community from, like you've hit that threshold, although I do now to get the exact percent, so I'm not misspeaking, but it was a good response rate. And even, it's a good point. That is actually one of the benefits of having this on there, right? So with the same logic, 155 answered, 25% of those from the school district, right? So really good representation of what is going on for youth, at least from those working in the school system. Next slide, please. Okay, so these are the broad headings of recommendations that, based on not just on the community survey, I would say, but also based on that secondary data, it is important to consider what the community wants to move forward on, and at the same time, really look at like what are the professionals in your community seeing, what is law enforcement seeing, what is the hospital seeing, what is our community health nurse seeing, so they pull in what is EMS and fire seeing, and so the secondary data that has been pulled in to the assessment was analyzed together with the community data, and these are the recommendations that they made. There are a number of examples under each of these. I'll kind of hit on them very briefly, but the assessment has far more detail. But basically, implement prevention programs in one or more Lander County schools, support the expansion of substance use treatment services, and then increase supports to people in recovery from substance use. And within the plan, they are very thoughtful about the fact that certain of these things, like you can't just set up at a whole clock in the county without like the workforce for it. They're very expensive. But they do go into detail about the possibility of mobile and telehealth and partnership regionally, or, there are some really good suggestions in there that have worked in other studies similar to the county. So next slide, please. So for the first one, implement prevention programs in one of our Lander County schools. They list in the assessment programs that have shown to be effective in other settings and should be included for consideration. So these are 5 different projects that have shown success, and that if the school was interested, or you all were interested in, or any organization in the community was interested in, they could come to you and say, hey, like, we'd like to do this with Lander County funds, or hey, like, would you partner with us if we wanted to submit for a state grant in order to get funds to do this? So that's priority number 1. Or you can in the report they're listed in order, but you can adopt them as, in that priority order, or just all 3 of them is your top. Next slide, please. Support the expansion of substance use treatment services. So they recommended improving upon evidence-based substance use disorder and OUD, sorry about that acronym, it's opioid use disorder treatment, and recovery support training and resources for providers. So recovery support, we were just having a conversation about this before the meeting, but when you think about like recovery support services, those are also prevention services, because if people can stay in recovery, they can also, set, a kind of healthy environment for those around them, which is also a prevention strategy. So recovery support training and then resources for the providers who are working with community members. They suggested partnering with a telemat service provider. MAT is medication-assisted treatment. They suggested increasing provider training and education on the effective use of telehealth, and then working to increase provider rates for treatment in rural areas to incentivize providers who serve rural communities. So a couple of different solutions for your consideration there. Next slide, thank you. And the last one, increase supports to people in recovery from substance use. So they recommended identifying opportunities for faith-based organizations to provide recovery supports in local communities. Faith-based organizations are often used in this role across the country and show great success because that's already a place where people have a lot of trust built and strong relationships. Develop sober and affordable housing resources through partnerships. Provide tenancy supports for individuals to maintain housing through the recovery process. For both of these, there is some more information I would recommend you take a look at in the report. There are a number of national models where instead of kind of building your own housing facility specifically for folks, you have not so much a congregate setting, but more like a placement or like helping people who are at risk of becoming unhoused, like you can support them in staying in that so that they can stay in your recovery programs, things like that. So just want to indicate that there's a number of ways to tackle this, and it doesn't involve just building like a huge complex. And then the last one, address transportation as a social determinant of health and support providers with startup and transportation costs under Nevada's new Medicaid-funded non-emergency secure behavioral health transport service. So, and on this last point, I would say just to the extent you're able to partner with the state, there is funding for opioid abatement. And so utilizing the state channels to maximize the impact of your own dollars is a good strategy, and you have set yourself up to do that for the assessment. I believe that's my last slide, but I think maybe next one just, oh no, it's not. Okay, so NACO is a part of a national organization. The Nevada Association of Counties is part of the National Association of Counties, because counties all over the country are working on opioid abatement. They have focused in on certain efforts that they view as like within a county's ability and skill set and kind of purview to implement. Right, not all solutions would come from a county, some come from other kinds of partners, but they developed a number of resources to support counties. So I just wanted to indicate that's available to you. And then questions. Yeah, happy to answer any questions. Thank you. Sorry, my name's on there, but it's tiny. I don't know why. I'm happy to share my contact info. Sorry about that.
Commissioner, any questions? Does the public have any questions? Okay.
So at this point, what I would like to accomplish with the board is to approve those priorities that we're going to start to look to execute our dollars on. And then we also have the ability to collaborate with the state for grant funding, future funding. I don't know that there's anything available at the moment, but we start both of those with approving the priorities for where we're going to be putting these funds to work. Also, it's important to keep in mind that this is not just limited to Lander County government. Any agencies within the county can also apply for future funding that the state might make available.
Right. First of all, I want to apologize for taking control of the meeting.
No,
It slipped me, I'm sorry. Just, yeah. So you being our medical doctor of record, are you fine with the priorities that you see?
Yes, except that as it is laid out numerically in this document, I would put the prevention program at the number 3 for where we prioritize this. We already have prevention programs in the school, and I certainly want to continue to support what they have implemented, but I don't see that there is an overt need for something new or different. I think that the schools are doing a really good job in what they're already have put into place. So just sliding number 1 to number 3, and then as far as substance use treatment, that also is something that is very lacking throughout rural America, and it hits Lander County pretty hard. We do have a new initiative through the detention facility to start an opioid treatment program. And so that's in development, and I don't know what the timeline is for when that will be actually put into place. Do you share? Okay, but yeah, not too far off in the distance. And so I could see that as a very good pilot for us to learn at the county level what successes, what roadblocks, and then build off of that, maybe expand that out of the detention facility into a community type program. But then that wraps around into something that we just have to have and don't, which is number 3, the supporting people in recovery. So that's where I would like to focus the main effort. And that being said, it's a big task. There are a lot of elements to it and capital involved in standing up something like that. But that, I think, has the potential for the biggest return on the investment of the funds that we would have available.
Going back to the prevention, I believe, I heard what you say, but I believe prevention is crucial. But I think the problem that we see with prevention, and I followed a lot of these programs through the years, is statistically they don't work. It's like we put them in and the problem continues to increase. So now we're at a point of helping these people, right? Is there anything nationally, are there any statistics currently of any programs that are based on prevention that seem to be working nationally?
So that's a great question, and the ones listed in the report, so they actually do call out in the report, for example, DARE, right? It has been implemented over many years, there's been changes made to it, but it's been one that has not been shown to be successful.
Exactly.
So the ones that are listed in the report are ones that have been shown to be successful in other settings. I'm not deeply familiar with the details of any one of those programs, but the folks at Mercer who developed this, their background is in substance abuse, it's in prevention, it's in licensed clinical social work. So in compiling the data both for the state and these local ones, like they're looking for evidence-based practices only. Does an evidence-based practice that works in one setting always work in another one? No, it doesn't, but they did not suggest to all programs that do not have data to support their success in your assessment. The other, just to highlight something that may be helpful for your consideration is that you can prioritize them 1, 2, 3. You can also say, here are our priorities in a specific order. That's actually how the state did their needs assessment. And that would allow you the flexibility to say, we're going to use $900 still for recovery, but we're going to go for state dollars for prevention or vice versa. I do believe that the state is looking towards prevention and really helping that next generation to grow up in a healthy way. And so you can really leverage that they've got priorities in one area and you may have more local needs that aren't their top priority. But anyway, you have the option to reorder or not reorder. And it's just.
What do you think about that, Doctor? Is that we just list them as our priorities, but don't put a specific number to them so we can, if we see, I mean, because I think as things, as time goes by, things might change. And if we put a certain order into it, we could say, well, you know what, now we see a fit for this more so than, so I think if we just list as priorities with no order of importance, you think that might potentially.
Certainly. Yeah. Right, because it is always evolving.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
Some new prevention program may come on the scene that is shown to be more effective. And then if we put everything into treatment and we don't have funds left to implement something new like that, then yeah, that we get a little behind. So I'm certainly on board with that.
For grant application purposes, you could say these are our top priorities for all 3 of those, which is helpful, I think, in making the case for any one of them as suits that particular application.
Members of the board have any input, questions? Open opening up to public comments. Well, in that case, I'd like to ask that we have a motion to approve those 3 priority areas for the opioid needs assessment spending.
A motion to approve the priorities identified and be submitted to the state funding through the Fund for Resilient Nevada.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Then moving to item number 2, which also is for action. This is a presentation to the board on SB 118 funding, the law funding for public health infrastructure improvement for counties. The board will consider endorsement of the proposed use of these funds. So for background, SB 118, the law passed in the last legislative session, was put in place to improve public health infrastructure and funding. And there are funds that were dispersed to each of the counties and the health districts. This was on a per capita basis, and these are non-categorical funds, which means that we have the ability to determine how we want to spend these monies. With that in mind, back in March, we had a community meeting to discuss where the needs were and what was determined as the best use of these funds, which for our county at present comes to a $27,000 amount. It was decided that there was a need for some focus on dental health and prevention. And so we submitted that to the state, had an approval, and the contract has been sent to the county, and would like to get the support of the board to use these funds. At this point, it looks like a one-time funding, but there is the potential for that to be renewed in the future. But at this point, looking at finding the needs for preventive and treatment services for the dental needs of the people of the county. Are there any questions? Opening up for public comment. Hearing none. Good, well then, I would like to ask for the motion to approve the SB 118 funding to be used for preventive and treatment services for dental health.
I'll make a motion that we approve the SB 118 funding for endorsement and the purpose of use for these funds.
I'll second the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Moving on to item 3, this is informational for the board and the public. Could put up the PowerPoint and the total. Yeah, that's the one. So in the previous Board of Health meeting, we approved a project for health improvement in our communities to identify and then treat vitamin D deficiency. Next slide. And just as a review, looking at the top causes of both mortality and morbidity, negative health consequences in our state. Nothing surprising in this. Go to the next slide. Except for the fact that we know that vitamin D deficiency has a role in all of the risk factors for the chronic health issues that are plaguing the people in our communities. With that, we have started offering free vitamin D screening and supplementation for those people who have been identified as vitamin D deficient. Go to the next slide. So far, we haven't had quite the take that I was hoping for. We've had a little over 80 people that have been tested and results back for 66 of those people. But I think it is very telling that of that population that we've already tested, over 60% are deficient in vitamin D. That's a level on the lab test under 30. If you look at the next category of insufficiency, a little bit of a gray area, not a lot of agreement on what that cutoff is in that testing, but between 30 and 40 on the vitamin D test, another 16%. So essentially, 80% of the population, those we've been able to test so far, would benefit from getting their vitamin D levels up. And that matters, again, because it has a very notable improvement on all of the chronic health issues that people deal with, whether it's diabetes or obesity or heart disease or risk factors for cancer. All of those things are positively impacted. So we are continuing to push to offer to people to get tested and then looking to get their levels up through supplementation or better lifestyle habits. So this is an ongoing project. We still have the goal of testing everybody in Lander County. If we could get 10% to the earlier comment on what a good survey result is, 10% is good for this as well. So then follow on as we continue to identify more folks who are deficient and are getting them treated. We also would like to go in a little deeper and see what their health status looks like and then measure to see what might be improving down the road after we help them to get up to a level of sufficiency. So more to follow on that. Are there any questions, comments?
What kind of treatment do you typically do?
It's just oral vitamin D capsules. We also are looking to add giving a shot, which will be a bigger dose to help people get up to better levels a little quicker, but tried and true. And it's costs next to nothing for people to go on Amazon or the local pharmacy and get a vitamin D supplement.
I've heard those work really very efficient, getting vitamin D up.
Well, it depends. It depends on the form of the capsule, the quality of the brand, and actually you can also get it in liquid drops, and that definitely does work better. And there's no question that if you can get that in an intramuscular injection, then that gets right into your system and has a quicker and better effect.
Yeah, I think it's important that we get more of Lander County involved in it because vitamin D is so important. I don't think people realize that the body produces one vitamin, and that's vitamin D. Everything else has to come in food form, supplement form, which should show you the importance of vitamin D. So whether you supplement, if it's a nice day, go out, take shirts off, get some sun. The body produces it, it makes it, and you start doing some research on vitamin D and health. It's amazing stuff.
Yes, it is.
So are you going to set up the health clinics this fall to try to get them to do the testing there?
Oh, well, the community health nursing office offers that ongoing.
Well, I know, you guys do a health clinic in Battle Mountain, what, 2-3 times a year?
I think once or twice a year.
It'd be ideal to catch people there and get them to do the testing.
Yeah, and we looked at offering it through the Battle Mountain Hospital and Clinic. And so we're still looking at more ways to get the word out and to cast our net a little wider. So, yeah, but any of the health fairs certainly is to offer it there too.
What media forms are we using currently to get it out?
The county newsletter, that we probably would do well to make that a recurring announcement. Our Facebook page. Is there anything else that we made any media test?
Yeah, we've done clinics.
advertise your town flyer.
Yeah, flyers, that's right.
Okay.
All right. With that, we'll close item 3 and move on to item 4. This is also informational to the board. Back in March, I had an opportunity to go to Fallon and meet with the new Central Nevada Health District leadership, their health officer, executive director, and director of environmental services. And this was just my opportunity to go introduce myself, get to know these folks a little bit. But during that conversation, I broached the topic of potentially using their services in the future for what right now we're relying on the state for. You know, we have an aspiration to grow and be able to do our own environmental health offerings, permitting for food establishments. But that does take a lot of infrastructure that we don't have. Central Nevada Health District has that now. And I would see some real good benefits to using them where they're already a little more in tune with rural Nevada, and especially on their environmental health services side of things. Their director was really impressive in her focus on wanting to educate. So you have a restaurant that fails an inspection. If that's the state inspector that comes through, you know, you get the failing grade and off that person goes, and what does the business owner do? It's not really user-friendly for recovering or for being able to address those needs, versus what I'm hearing from Central Nevada, where they have a very sharp focus on educating and helping those business owners to be able to have success. So it's just an initial encounter, as I mentioned, and I would like to, in the future, after they get up and running, because they're still really they became operational just a couple months ago. But as they have the capacity, and we have the need to look into an interlocal agreement to have them support us with environmental health services.
How many counties make up the Central Nevada Health District?
There are 4.
And who are they?
Yeah, that's Eureka, Mineral, Churchill, and Pershing.
Yeah, I like that.
So some of our neighbors.
Yeah.
And then moving forward, just building that collaborative relationship with them. I'd just like to see what we might be able to do with projects in the future, because they are definitely our neighbors and much, I think, would be much more responsive to the local public health needs versus the state agencies. Well, with that, we'll close item 4. And are there any comments from the board? No? Okay, so move to adjourn.
Okay.
Public health board.
Favor?
I don't think do we need a motion to adjourn? Yeah.
Oh,
Okay, I'll second the motion.
Okay.
in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay, so we'll go ahead and reconvene the Lander County Board of Commissioners meeting, and we'll go back to item 1.4. Thanks, Dr. Russ. For discussion of possible actions to disapprove the lease agreement between Great Basin College and Lander County located at 635 2nd Street, Babylon, Nevada, 89820, in the amount not to exceed $1 a month, $12 a year. So what are we talking about here?
Okay, Commission, this is the adult education side of GBC that is currently in that back trailer in one of those classrooms. They've been there for years. They teach Spanish and English every night. I think they have over 23 students in there, so it is a.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, Commission, have any questions? Is there any public comment on it? Okay, I'll hear a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the lease agreement between Great Basin College and Lander County, located on 635 Second Street, Battle Mountain, Nevada, 89820, in an amount not to exceed $12 a year.
Okay.
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Okay, moving on. 1.6, update from Natural Resource Officer Pam Harrington regarding the wild horses for information only. Morning, Pam.
Good morning, Commissioners. Pam Harrington for the record, your Natural Resource Officer. And thank you for asking me to come talk with you about the horses. We've been doing a lot, and this is a good time for us to check in. As you guys know, it's been a problem for a long time. Lander County hasn't had a gather by the Mount Lewis BLM office since 2011. And horses double in population every 4 years. So our herds are pretty much out of control. There's way too many horses. BLM knows this too. There's a few reasons why it's come to where it's at. We can talk about those, but on the positive side, you guys sent a letter in to Director Raby in March of this year asking to be prioritized that Lander hasn't had gathers. Oh, I'll back up a little. We're not the only ones. There's a lot of herds that are in shape like this that haven't had gathers since 2008. A lot of them are in the Mount Lewis office as well. Just Lander County is our.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's our, yeah, it's bad everywhere. But you guys took the initiative, sent in a letter, and I know we didn't hear back, but I went and asked, and you were heard. And I met with Sam Alt. He's at our Mount Lewis office in Battle Mountain. He's great. And now he's just been put in charge of the horse program pretty recently. And we had a long discussion about it. He said that we were heard, and now Lander is a priority from the state office to get some gathers together. So Sam and I talked for quite a while, along with his two, he's got two people that are in charge of horses under him. It's Amy and Shauna. We talked about, well, what can we do? How could Lander be like a positive force to get something done? That's kind of the approach that I wanted to take. Hey, try it, you know. So we keep up, and I won't go into detail on this unless you ask me to, and I brought the notes just in case you do. But we came up with maybe 7 different things that we could do, Lander, to help the BLM to get the job done. But most of those, we distilled it out to after we reach AML. That's appropriate management levels of horses. We can't throw a whole lot of resources into this problem until we get it down to where we can do something about it. So what we decided at first now is we're investing in this project. This problem with the BLM is I'm helping Shauna. She's the one that has to go out on the ground and do all the monitoring data. And she needs a little help right now. Here's a little background. I know this is on public record, and that's good. She got all of the monitoring data and things ready in 2017 for a major gather and was pulled off of it and had to work on a cattle management plan instead. So all that work went down the tubes because it's only good for so long. So there you go. There's the backstory that I wondered, why haven't we had a gather? That's a big part of it.
Pulled off by who? State, local, federal?
Her office. So anyway, that to me was critical to understand. So anyway, we've been going out in the field. I went out 3 times with her, and we went out to check range conditions and wrote everything down because, wait, I'll back up again. So after I met with the state, our office here, we decided that that would be a good approach. But then I went and talked to Alan Shepard. He's in charge of the horses at the state office in Reno. So I talked with him in June. So it was May talking with Sam, and then in June I talked with this guy, Alan Shepard, who's been in the program forever. He knows, you probably know him. See, I just met him for the first time. Anyway, and he said he confirmed that Lander County has been prioritized to get gathers. But he said, Pam, we look like fools if we're gonna go to DC and ask for a gather there when none of the paperwork's done. We have to have the paperwork. Okay, so that's where we're working in concert, Lander County, to get the paperwork done. And NDOW is as well. So Jeremy Lutz is gonna go out as well with Shauna and get all of this stuff together and just keep the momentum in a positive way. And Alan told me that the earliest we can get a gather, but it was probably unlikely, was January next year, because they already have their list for the rest of this year. He says, if you have your paperwork done, possibly January, or at least July of next year, because there's a big gap for foaling season that they don't gather horses. So maybe January or July, but we're gonna get the paperwork done. If we don't, then fuck me. So that's what we're working on. And no, I know this is a real priority for all of us, and we've made it a priority. I'm going out in the field next week, another 3 days with her. We're just gonna keep this going. So that's where we're at. Let me see, and Jeremy is also putting together a viewing of a presentation, a Zoom presentation. Anyone that wants to watch it, I think I'll have it at our office in Battle Mountain. What it is it's the findings from some research on deer versus horses and what they have, the impacts for competing food and all. It's very well done. It's a good presentation. Jeremy and I already saw it, but we want to show it to Shauna and other people at BLM at Lander that wants to watch. So we're going to show it on July 18th, but I'll give you a spoiler alert in case some of you can't make it. It shows a catastrophe. There's a collision course of deer and horses. In 10 years, we're going to have more horses than deer.
And what year?
In Nevada. In 10 years from now, yeah. If something doesn't change. It's going like this. The deer population is going down, and the horse population is going up. In 10 years, that's going to be the case.
And then we have the wasting disease coming in on the deer, which isn't helping either.
Yeah, sure would. Okay, so what else do I want to tell you here? And then I'll show you just a couple pictures from being out here. I think everybody understands we have to get the paperwork done. And the first thing, priority that the state office has put on, Mount Lewis office, is the Callahan Complex. So that's several herd management areas. It's a lot of horses. So that's number one. And then it's the New Pass Ravenswood. That's the second one. Yeah, that's just the way they did it. So that's where we're at. So then they'll have to go on to the paperwork for New Pass Ravenswood, but we got to get the other one done. But I think I'm really excited that we've got a positive approach and momentum, and we're going to keep it that way. So, and then the next steps for some of us, I'll be presenting at the Legislative Interim Committee on Public Lands tomorrow in Eureka. They asked for us counties, Eureka, Lander, and I think it's 9, to present what our public lands priorities are. So we put together, we only have 10 minutes each, so it's not going to be a big deal. But horses, of course, will be a number one for us, along with all the solar and new energy projects that are flooding into all the counties. We're not the only ones, it's everywhere. It's hard to keep up. So anyway, that's tomorrow. And then got to figure out, I haven't figured out how yet, so it'll be nice to get some input on engaging our congressional delegation on it. Because it'll come down to money from DC. I mean, just getting this paperwork done, that's the first step. But then they have to put the horses somewhere. We've got an election coming up, and they got to put the horses somewhere. That's a big deal. So let me show you a couple of pictures that I took just out on the range a couple weeks ago. I'm first starting out with this slide because this is what I'm going to show that legislative committee tomorrow. I just pulled out some of the slides to show you, just to give them a little flavor here that our best herd management area is still 205% above what it should be. And our worst is 9,800. That's pretty bad. Like I said, we're not the only ones though. Yeah. So, next slide, please. So I came away with a lot of knowledge on what they're doing to monitor and then show the impacts. And that is a scary slide, you can't tell. But the big thing about that is the key species are no longer present in a long area, and that means the perennial grasses. So if you don't have any more perennial grasses, you're done. And nobody knows how to fix it. And there's areas just like that where the perennial grasses are gone. You'll have some annuals and things and, cheatgrass. But, yeah, that's bad. Next slide. So that shows when the perennial grasses are gone, you're crossing an ecological threshold that you might not be able to come back from. And a couple of the terms I learned were pedestooling and root ball death. So that's a pedestal you see right there where the grass knot is standing up from the rest of the soil that's lower, so all the roots die. And root ball death is another term, but you'll see all that's left is a root ball that's sitting there dead on its side, And I think that's about it. Do I have anything more? Oh yeah, that one. This one is sad. This is a beautiful spring, and it has no name, but you can see the damage to it. It's hammered. But we did flush up the sage-grouse in that green reeds. So the wet meadows, the sage-grouse really need them. So, and when I walked around that place, not a single cow track. That is all horse. There's no cows there. And Shauna told me she's got about 20 of those sites that she would really like to see rehabbed, fenced, maybe do a trough that the water could still be used but not ruin that place. That's one of those projects that I said I won't bother you with unless you want to know after we get some success that maybe we can help with doing some rehab. So that's it. Any questions?
Thank you, Pam.
Yeah.
Does the commission have any questions for Pam?
Thank you very much.
Okay, public, do you have any questions? Yes.
First off, I would like to say Pam Harrington has been one of the brightest highlights of Lander County's hired in many years. She's done a wonderful job. I've worked with her on public land work, and these facts need to be brought out, but those pictures were in 2024. And 2024 is after one of the wettest years on record. And so that makes these facts that she's put here, the documentation, even more alarming. And to get the facts, the Callahan law goes from 305 over to 306, is that correct?
I'm not sure. It might go that far. I can't tell you for sure. I'd have to look at the maps.
I do believe it includes the Shoshone Range.
Oh, it does?
Yes, and that's the big problem in Lander County is that Shoshone Range.
Yeah.
But again, our public land board, a year and a half ago, we were instrumental in getting the county to declare a state of emergency for the wild horses. And I think now we find a sense of frustration of where the BLM was and how priorities of the BLM did not focus on what was going on in Lander County. And to me, I find that just a little bit disturbing. And I would like to thank Pam Harrington for having the foresight to bring that up.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there any other public comments or questions? Yes, sir.
Lonnie Shepherd for the record. Did you see deer tracks at that spring?
Yeah, actually, we did. Not a lot, but there's some. Yeah, you can't go hunting there, I don't think.
How big was the deer?
I think, so a little more information, then I'll be quiet, but we were looking at other areas that weren't hammered, that were higher elevation. So it seems like the lower elevation winter range for those horses are what's really a limiting factor in their getting hammered. Upper elevation is in pretty good shape. But we don't have very much sign of horses up there either. So it's like they're staying down there and eating it out of house and home. But then there's water right there. So I don't know, something, you just have to get less horses. Pardon?
Probably too far from the walk.
Yeah, it might be.
Okay, if there's no more questions, we'll move on. Thanks, Sam.
Thank you.
Okay, so we'll move to 1.7 for discussion of possible action regarding the sewer problems at the Austin RV Park. and options for solutions.
Ron Rance, for the record, Public Works Director. I lost my train of thought here. We snaked this and we found roots in the system, so we tried digging it up. Obviously, we went the wrong direction there and didn't hit the right pipe or whatever, so we got a camera company coming in to camera, shows the exact location. We will get it dug up, fixed.
Okay.
So hopefully they should be cameraing today or next week, they said, so.
Okay.
But it should be freed up right now.
Good.
Does the commission have any questions for Don? Public have any comments on it?
So I think the south facing slopes, they've been getting hit pretty hard with, sewer. You know, that there was several other places that had similar issues with the sewer and on the county side of it.
Are you gonna like camera all of it or just that specific area?
Just that specific area for right now. And the county does have a camera itself, but it is broken. And so I'm looking at either replacing it or getting it fixed. So then we can bring it up and then we'll use more and more, get these issues taken care of.
Check with Miranda to see specifically what areas that.
Yeah, because I know that I get advice as for.
Yeah, don't be afraid to reach out to Chris and then.
Yeah.
They're really good about being on this.
Okay. That it?
That's it.
Okay, so there's no more, we're gonna move into, so basically, we don't need a motion on it. That's just what's happening. So we're gonna move to 1.8. Just a reminder, if people want to speak, if you could come to the front, because we have a new system, and just to make everything nice and clear for the recording would be awesome. Don't mean to be a bear about it, but 1.8, for discussion and possible action regarding booster pump 1, problems in Austin and options for solutions.
Okay, again, Don Prince, for the record, Public Works Director. Me and Marty started working on this when I stepped into this position 4 years ago, I believe. And we was all ready to go out for bid, and then we run into some money issues, so we put it off. And then the Boston realignment, because we're gonna move the booster station across First Street, kitty corner to Lander County property that's over there. And we're gonna upgrade it and convert the pumps, so let's make it all better. But we was waiting, we held off the last couple of years on the realignment. Now that everybody's signed around that general area, I think we might have to go ahead and get it going this year. Get started, so it might be going out to bid like this fall or something. Get started on it in the spring.
So you're gonna move that little bitty corner piece and move it up and.
Well, it'll be a whole new building.
Right, a whole new building in it, okay. So that'll be nice.
Yeah. Yeah, so I've tried going, well, you watch people try going into that building. It's pretty scary. It's pretty scary. You get up and down along the hill, so.
Definitely, I'm surprised nobody's hit it.
I know, I was trying on the edge of the road, so.
It really is, just kind of right there in that intersection.
Yeah, that's when they pull over and show me this is the booster place. Right here, really? So, no, it's gotta be original equipment or something.
Yeah, it's been there a long time.
It's pretty scary right there, so we're gonna replace that one.
Any other questions from the commission? Public have any questions or?
Oh, I have one more question. Are you gonna address the other boosters too down the line or
Yes,
just?
yes.
Okay, so we'll start with that one and then move on to the next.
Yes, we got it on the list.
Okay.
And I think it was like $20 for so beating us out one bite at a time, so. Yeah, then the water tanks or the old reservoirs, stuff, and replace them and tanks.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. All right, so if there's no more, we'll move on to 1.9. For discussion of possible action regarding Austin and Battle Mountain Cemetery concerns related to maintenance by the owner of the plots, their families, and or the county. I have a letter from a citizen that she wanted me to read this in, so I'm going to read it in here at the beginning. This letter is from Melina Castellanos. It says, I'm writing this response to agenda item 1.9. I was raised to always give decent respect for the resting places of the deceased. If you take the time to research history, this basic human value goes back to the beginning of time all over the world. Our current condition of the cemetery has deteriorated so much that it shocks the sense of decency of all who take the time to visit the cemetery. The disgrace in which it currently is demands immediate attention. Most of the concerns for this agenda item is referring to the old section, the one without grass in Battle Mountain. It should be noted that most of the plots in this section have people from the late 1800s on. Lander County was established in 1862, and there are graves even before that date in our cemetery. These people were pioneers and helped build the foundation for Lander County. There were no contracts signed back then about maintenance in the future, as it was common courtesy back then to maintain them. My family has some of these plots. I can tell you from experience that these caskets have shifted, and not all are where they should be. We were not able to use all our plots due to this condition, and even had to place one on top of another unknown casket. To require descendants to maintain these plots is ridiculous. The county should take pride in making this area nice and inviting for people. The history that the plots provide alone should make this common sense. I do realize this is not a small cost or small project, but it is one that should be accepted with pride. Have our engineer design something to fix and make it appealing to visitors. I am not saying to exhume bodies, but I am sure a design can be made to satisfy current family members and ones that no longer have any. This is our history specifically to Lander County. Lander County was willing to spend a lot of money on sidewalks and fences to make the town look good, but seems to be stopping short when it comes to the resting place of its citizens. Maybe setting something for going forward by having people provide an extra fee upon purchasing a plot or a small tax to go toward the future maintenance of all our cemeteries. Sincerely, Nolina Costalarms. So, yeah, so we'll go ahead and open it up.
Okay. I had a juicy little research she found on this. I should have had it, and so everybody can have a copy. I apologize for that.
Well, let me just read this to the public so everybody has the same knowledge here of what I'm looking at. This is basically county code, or is this statute?
I think that's code.
Okay, so basically code 8.32.075 landscaping. All private landscaping is prohibited in the grass section in the cemeteries. This includes, but is not limited to curbing, trees, plants, flowers, benches, bird baths, rocks, wood chips, gravel, fencing, fountains, flagpoles, carpet, planters, concrete slabs, and removal of grass. B, all private landscaping upon the descendant's plot in all other sections of the cemetery must be maintained by the descendant's family. Absolutely no trees are allowed. Lander County will be responsible for all landscaping within the county cemetery except for the private landscaping on the descendant's plot. This was order 2004-07, 4205. And then under section 8.32085, did you want me to read that in there as well? Yeah. Under headstones, item C, any damage to headstones, either due to natural cause or otherwise, shall remain the responsibility and expense of the descendant's family and not the county. And this was order 2004-07, and then later 2005. So everybody has that data. Are there any questions from the commission?
A lot of the headstones that are broken down in the Austin Cemetery, there are no descendants that any longer remain here. We've had volunteers that have gone down and done cleaning on them, and that was why I had asked about them looking for a grant so we could come in and repair some of those historic headstones and put them back up there in the proper manner. I mean, we can go down there and slap some glue on them and put them up there, but that isn't the way to preserve the history. And by getting a grant and looking into that and doing the repairs on the headstones, Austin Cemetery isn't quite as bad as the Battle Mountain Cemetery for the grave sinking and stuff, because our ground is different. We have the DG and it packs in there and it settles some. But when Donnie toured me around the cemetery in Battle Mountain, I saw a lot of really settled graves. And most people don't have the facilities to be able to go in there and fill those graves back in. That's where they really need the help from the county, is somebody to haul that dirt in there for them to fill that in. The average person has no clue where to go get the dirt to fill those in. In Austin, you know, we all just kind of do our own thing out here, and we have Desi that goes out and does the weeds every spring, and we don't have any grassy areas, so we all maintain our own. But there's a lot of historic graves down there that really need some help. The fences need repair, the headstones are broken, the board fences have started to rot and come down. In our area where we're working on right now, we've painted, 4 fences and removed weeds out of probably 15 of the graves and done a lot of cleanup. And if everybody would do that for all our old historic graves, it would solve a lot of the problems.
Any other commissioners' questions or comments on it? Does the public have any comments or questions?
I actually have a comment. I'm trying to process here.
Okay.
I go into the cemetery quite often in that old portion. I do, but obviously there are probably no descendants left, and that I think out of respect for the families that we as a county try to figure out how to fix that, because that's absolutely heartbreaking to see that and that those things collapsing in, and there is no one to do that for them. So that's their final resting place, and I don't know what their rules were in the 1800s when they buried them, but the least we can do is, try to clean that up. I don't see where it'd be a huge expense, and if we do have to add a tax or what we have to do to fix it, then we fix it, because to sit around and wait for somebody else to do it's not going to happen, and it's disgraceful. And so, that's my 2 cents.
There is an additional fee that's added on when you buy your plot for the maintenance, because we just bought our plots. There's like a $15 fee or something like that additional. It's all tied into that, at least here.
Okay, all right.
My name's Lenny Shepherd. And, the one in Battle Mountain, the prisoners, they used to get them from the prison, and they'd come over there. I don't know if they do that anymore. I haven't seen.
No.
But they did a lot there filling in, because the county hauled the sand over, or whatever they had to fill the grave back in with, and those guys did a lot of work. And I know the prisoners in jail used to do it too. Somebody get them out there, give them a shovel and a wheelbarrow.
Good project for community service.
That's right. That's what, it has been done that way.
So, yes.
Lenny's absolutely right. We used to get prisoners in there. Now we can't get prisoners anymore. They got an agreement with, Think About It Energy. They come and wait for us to get prisoners. But we do go in there a couple times a year, try to fill in graves. And then, granted, there's a lot of times we miss, so.
When we talk prisoners, are we talking the con crew or all over?
Yeah, con crew.
Okay.
We can't get the con crew anymore. I'm gonna get wrong. It's chain gang.
And why do you say we can't get the con crew any longer?
They got an agreement with, I think they said Nevada Energy. This has been months ago that we talked to them. No, it's been a couple years since we've been able to get them. So,
Okay.
but I think they actually closed down the one in, when I'm up there, and maybe the one in Tonopah.
Yeah.
I think so, yeah. And what else? Yeah.
See, they can only work so many hours a day, and the travel is included as part of what they can work. So if they work 8 hours and they travel 4 hours to get somewhere, they only get 4 hours worth of work in.
Well, I think the consensus is that we generally want to do something about it. I think the first thing we would start with is our own county code. We'd probably make an addition to it that would allow for us to basically, to give us the authority, right, to basically, or Dawn the authority to basically appeal to the Board of County Commissioners. This is what we have. But I think there's been some great ideas. I think grants, historical grants, if we could use those, see if we can use our local jail. I don't know if I'm necessarily in favor of raising taxes.
No.
But it's, I would think that there's something that we could probably come together as a town and make some improvements there. So, what's everybody else's thoughts on it?
I agree.
I don't know if you guys been down to our cemetery, but it is amazing. It's beautiful. It's got all these great headstones and old fences, and it's just amazing.
Okay, is there any other public comment on it or questions? Okay, so maybe Dawn, maybe you can, just some of the stuff that we've thrown out, maybe just further bird dog it and maybe come back to the commission, let us know what you found. We might maybe reach out to our grant writer and see if there are grants available for something like this and what that would look like, and just give us some more information on it so that we could move a little bit further on the project. So, Commissioner, good with that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we'll move on. Everybody good? Do we need a break or anything? Everybody go back? Okay. We'll move into 1.10 for discussion and possible action to approve, disapprove the reappointment of one individual to serve on the Lander County Convention and Tourism Authority Board, which currently has 2 openings. This is for the at-large position. New terms are from July 1st, 2024 through June 30th, 2026. And we have 1 applicant, and it's from Manuel Moreno. Any questions? Public have any concerns, questions, comments? Okay, I'll hear a motion.
I'll make a motion that we approve Daniel Moreno on the Lander County Convention and Tourism Authority Board. It's an at-large position.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second for Manuel Moreno. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Moving on, we'll move to 1.11. For discussion, consideration, and possible action to adopt as presented or to amend and adopt a resolution to place an advisory question on the November 2024 general election ballot to ask all voters in the county whether Lander County should permit the retail sale of marijuana or other cannabis products for recreational or medicinal purposes within the county. Advisory questions are non-binding and do not place any legal requirements on the Board of County Commissioners or the county. So, do we have people on the phone and stuff?
I'm on the phone, Joe Ramos from Denver, Colorado. Can you hear me okay?
Okay, I will. I just wanted to know who was with us on the item. So, I'll go ahead and open it up for the commission. If the commission has questions or comments they'd like to make on it.
I have a written document to read to the record. From Amy Nelson. Dear Commissioners, I am writing to express my deep concern regarding the proposal to allow recreational cannabis dispensaries in Lander County. I believe it is crucial to continue to voice my concern about the potential dangers this establishment could pose to our youth. Cannabis, despite its evolving legal status, remains a substance that can significantly impair developing brains. Research indicates that regular cannabis use among adolescents can lead to cognitive impairments, reduce academic performance, and increase susceptibility to mental health issues. Lander County prides itself on being community-focused with wonderful parks and recreational center and outstanding athletic fields and facilities. As we continue to prioritize the future success and well-being of our youth of our community, we must seriously consider the unintended consequences of allowing dispensaries in our county. Bullet point, the presence of cannabis dispensary will serve to normalize its use among teenagers, leading to increased experimentation and substance abuse. Another bullet point, accessibility factor cannot be overlooked. Next is the messaging to youth as the adults in charge who safeguard their future condone a recreational marijuana dispensary. Next is the tacky billboards on the freeway send a message to travelers about the priorities of profit over the health of our youth. Next is more governmental oversight and less personal freedom by restricting home growers and making them criminals. As a member of the community who is invested in the community's welfare and future, I urge you to consider the long-term implications of allowing cannabis dispensaries in Battle Mountain, Austin, Gilman Springs, or Kingston. Instead, let's continue to focus on initiatives and activities that promote youth education about substance abuse prevention, mental health awareness, and healthy lifestyle choices. Finally, I would like you to consider our neighboring counties. What impression do you as a commissioner get when you think of Eureka County? If you traveled through Eureka and saw a medical or a marijuana dispensary billboard as you enter town and a recreational dispensary within the town, consider your impressions of that community. I think most of you already know Eureka would reject any such proposal based on their conservative, community-focused ethics. Let's be a neighboring county and that resonates the same message. Thank you for considering my perspective and for your commitment to be the best, and at the very least, ensuring an advisory ballot measure as you continue to work for the betterment of our county. Sincerely, Amy Nelson.
Thank you, Mike. So does the commission have any questions, concerns? I mean, we beat this pretty well. the last meeting, we had a majority vote to continue on with the ordinance, and then I guess there was some debate on whether we put it forth to an advisory question, or there was somebody who had asked for that to be put on this agenda, so that's what we're here to discuss. So first off, does the commission have anything to say on that?
No, I was the one that asked to have it put on the agenda because I've had so many people come to me and tell me that they would like to see it come to a vote. Whether the commission acts on the vote or not, at least we would know whether we had done the right thing or not. You know, whether the people really supported it or not, I believe that most of them will, but I know that I've been asked repeatedly to make sure that it was put on the ballot so we could vote on it.
Any more from the commission?
I agree with Dave.
Okay, I will open it up to public comment. Yep.
Wayne Johnson for the record. So what are the facts? How much revenue are we expecting to charge on our 10% tax on this? Currently, the state of Nevada had $894 billion in the fiscal year, $894 billion in the fiscal year 2024. And they realized less than 1.7% of that was taxed to the state. Okay. When we look at that, 91% of that was Clark and Marshall County. So what are the facts and the dollar figures that we're expecting in the tax revenue from Lander County? Our percentage from the state was $88,000 in the year 2023. Okay, I can't see where this marijuana dispensary is going to pay for the extra police involvement, the extra monitoring from on the county level. I don't see where it's going to pay. I mean, I could be wrong, but you know, we declined Mr. Sidru's offer here to pay for a billboard, put up a place for $25,000. And I really strongly believe that the county citizens need to make this choice. If we have 60% of Lander County residents that I've heard at a commissioner's meeting that smoke marijuana, well, then that 60% of the people are now criminals if they have one plant in their yard, one plant in their home. That's 60%. And Mr. Unger is the county sheriff, and I do believe that it becomes that sheriff's responsibility to instruct his officers that if Mr. Sparks had a domestic dispute at his house and they find one marijuana plant, now that's a plasma bill.
Just for the record, I have no domestic disputes at my house.
But if we're cutting the legs out of all of the members in the community within a 25-mile radius of that marijuana dispensary, we're including Crescent Valley, we're including Humboldt County and Eureka County. Okay, I really believe it needs to go to the ballot, and the Lander County citizens need to make that choice. Because I really don't believe if we vet this out thoroughly, I'll bet you that the finances aren't exact.
Okay, thank you. Is there any other public comments or concerns, questions? One second, Penny.
So, Grant, I go up for the record. So I'm curious, is this recreational marijuana only, or is this meth facility also?
Both.
Sir? Honey Shepherd, it needs to go to the ballot, but the people decide on it.
Okay.
That's what was done last time. Medical marijuana is not taxed. Okay, so there's no revenue for the county to sell medical marijuana. I do believe that's a state statute. And another thing in that statute is that's why pharmacies do not have medical marijuana in the state of Nevada, because marijuana is not federally illegal. So the pharmacies would not touch it and would not make it legal to sell in pharmacies.
Okay. Is there any other public comment or concerns, questions?
I have comment if you can hear me.
Okay, yep.
Joe Ramos for the record. Sorry I can't be with you today. Airplane's not flying, or I'd be there in person myself. First, Commission, I'd just like to point out that at the last meeting, I know we don't need to rehash a lot of the last meeting, but it was Mr. Shepherd himself that when the commissioners were asked, basically one of the commissioners made a statement that said, if we have to put everything out to the vote, why do you even need a commission? And it was Mr. Shepherd himself that said, that's a good point. We don't need you guys, essentially. And Mr. Shepherd stood up and expressed his opposition to this on multiple things because of his personal biases, but not one single time has he ever presented any literature, has he ever produced any data. And I would, at this point, I would stop and I would compliment the commissioners who have looked at the data and who've looked at the research and have used evidence to make their decisions. And there are only 3 of you up there who have. Commissioner Helming used no data. She used her own personal biases. Commissioner Chop did the same, as has Mr. Shepard. To answer the question I started this with, which is why do you need a commission? You guys are elected because of your experience and expertise. The community and Lander County counts on you to consult experts, to review reports, and then to make decisions. And I would ask any of the commissioners, particularly Commissioners Helming and Chop, which experts have you consulted? Which reports have you reviewed? And what data do you have for us in your decision? Because I can tell you this, Commissioner Thomas is not for marijuana. Commissioner Sparks is not for marijuana. And Commissioner Ancho voted against marijuana a long time ago. But these 3 individual commissioners chose to put the county, this data regarding safety, regarding illegal grows, regarding drug dealing, regarding opiates, they chose to put that research ahead of their own personal opinions, because their personal opinions are they're against this. So Commissioners Helming and Chop, who have you consulted, which experts, to come to your conclusion that this needs to be put out to an advisory vote?
Can I comment?
And listen, actually, maybe you want to answer at the end. Let me ask you a few more questions. Another thing, this will help Mr. Shepard. He asked another thing about why do we even need a county commission? Well, I just said we rely on you for your experience and your expertise, but we also rely upon you for your efficiency and your consistency. County commissioners are there to help make public decisions that require action. They help us avoid inconsistent short-term thinking that occurs when you let a bunch of individuals randomly spew things out without support. The county commission does their research and they bring together the opinions of thousands of people down and data down to make the best decision for us. That's what a commission does. And I would ask you also, Commissioner Helming and Commissioner Chop, when you answer my first question, to let me know how you're going to approach the remainder of your terms in office. Are you going to use personal opinions? Are you going to be consistent and efficient in your decisions? There's 2 more reasons that commissions exist. Again, going back to Mr. Shepard and why you guys even have a job. You guys deal with the legal and regulatory compliance for this entire county. It's complex. It's technical. Your research, your review, your diligence reduces regulatory challenges. It reduces legal risk to this county. As you vote to put this out to the citizens, Commissioners Chop and Helming, I want to know if you understand the regulatory issues. And if it's too complex for you, I want to know who you consulted to find out the regulatory issues. And lastly, putting stuff out for an advisory vote, this isn't something that your suggestions have benefited this county whatsoever. Commissioners Chop and Helming have made this recommendation because they won't take a personal stand or because they have a personal bias. They've now caused the attorneys to spend innumerable hours. That cost the county a lot of money. And that is because they won't take a stand for the position they were put into because they're afraid to. They're either afraid to, or they have a personal bias against my brother because they've brought their own personal biases into this. I always want to end on one last thing. When you guys vote today on if you're going to bring this to a vote, I think you as well as the public there needs to hear a few simple things. And that is, Lander County has marijuana in it. Lander County needs the safest version of marijuana in it. The safest version is not home grows. Lander County needs to extinguish its drug epidemic. It is not extinguishing a drug epidemic by encouraging illegal drug dealing. The people who want to use illegal marijuana are already doing it. They're doing it without regulation, without tax revenue, without imposition of the law. The only people that this is hurting are the people who want to do it legally, who are forced to drive to other counties, pay tax dollars to other counties, and those people are being held down by the personal beliefs of Commissioner Helming and Commissioner Chop. So I welcome and look forward to your explanation as to why you believe you either don't have the experience, expertise, efficiency, consistency, or don't understand the regulatory issues or the cost involved in bringing this forward to an advisory vote.
Okay, Who would like to respond?
I will respond. Commissioner Helming, for the record. First off, your brother and I have discussed the fact that there may have been 20 years ago animosity. That is something that's been settled a long time ago, and the fact that you continue to bring it up shows poor taste in character because you're interfering in something that has nothing to do with you whatsoever. The fact that you can continue to bring that up and accuse us of things that haven't happened in years is not acceptable. Bert and I talked about that after the last meeting when you brought that up, and he said he was going to discuss that with you. For personal beliefs, you know what? I don't have anything against the dispensary. I just know that the people that have talked to me and called me and emailed me, that they want it as a vote. You know what? I am here to represent the citizens of Lander County, not my own personal beliefs. My personal beliefs should have nothing to do with what happens with the county if the citizens are approaching me and asking me to do this for them. They don't have a voice, I do. So I'm doing what I can to help the citizens of Lander County to get what they want out of this situation. Research, I've done a lot of research on it, Joey. And one of the things I know is the amount of profits you're going to be making off of this. And the county isn't going to make that much money off the taxes on it. If you don't get this here, you're still going to make money off of it. They're growing pot here already. They're going to continue to grow it because they're grandfathered in. Anybody new that's going to be coming along to grow it, they're only supposed to have X amount anyway. 25-mile radius doesn't cover that far out. It doesn't. I'm not done. Thank you. I feel like I have just been personally attacked by all of this, which I have been, and I really consider the character of that attack. And Mr. Chop has also been personally attacked and accused of things. And I don't feel that he has the right to do that.
Okay.
So sorry, I'm really.
I will respond. This is Commissioner Chop for response. The attack is the attack. The personal benefits are. I myself too have done a lot of research on it. I did come in the beginning. I did have a attitude of, I guess, a belief of what it was. But on the record, on the last meeting, Mr. Ramos, I was supportive of putting it on the ballot for the question of it. But I also stated that I believe in proceeding with the agenda item that was to continue to ensure that in January it was ready to go, but with the information of the county as a whole. So some of your information is wrong. Everybody's allowed to have an opinion. Your opinion's your opinion, my opinion's mine. But I do have a lot of people both ways. If the people, I think it's allowed, it was passed, it was failed heavily, but that was for the legalization. I think the demographics has changed. I don't think it will, I think it will pass. I believe it'll pass firmly, talking with a lot of people in town. So I believe I do my research that's required on the role I'm in. I was elected in the primary, so there's people that believe opposite of what you believe, and thank you for your feedback.
Joey, I have more public comment. Would you like to hear it and then respond, or would you like to respond now?
Yeah, I'd like to hear the rest of the remaining public comment if you don't mind, and I do have a response I would like to give.
I do have one more thing to say. If you look back at the tape, you'll realize that I really didn't vote either way. You said I voted no, but I didn't. I did not vote yes, and I did not vote no.
Yeah, so that brings me to my point. I'm glad you reminded me of that, is that when we're voting, we have to voice our vote. Right. And if we abstain, we have to abstain and state why we are abstaining. It has to be recorded on the record. So, and I apologize, I didn't catch that. I thought I heard a yay, but I'm going to be more diligent in my duty as chairman to make sure that all votes are called and casted. So, yes, sir.
For Mr. Reynolds, I'm just bring that up on the record again. I want to compliment you on your wonderful oration again. I said you really figured that out nicely, how to call every one of these commissioners not intelligent enough to make an honest decision today.
Thank you.
I mean, that was well done. I'll give you a round of applause for that. No. But where are your facts? Where are the dollar figures of tax revenue that Lander County will receive for this? We've never heard any facts. We hear your presentation that I can post through with just betting on a cell phone. I mean, everywhere in the United States, that marijuana dispensaries have become legal, crime has gone up. Magically, Lander County is gonna be the opposite. Let's take Oregon, for example. Let's look at what happened in Oregon with the legalization of all of their drugs. It's really gone bad for Oregon. Lander County needs to be above this, and the Lander County citizens need to make this decision. Okay, Joey Ramos would agree with that, because he said you guys are able. Thank you.
Okay, so,
Can I respond to that? Because actually, I think, and I missed that gentleman's name, and I've talked to him after each of the hearings when I've been there, each time, but he actually just asked, well, what are the tax implications here? And what is that nobody knows, right? Well, let's ask Commissioner Chop and Commissioner Hellman if they know the tax implications, and then I'll explain it to everybody present. Do either of you know the tax implications?
No, does anybody else on the board?
no, I just know that you're bringing in industry to Lander County, and it's a revenue stream.
You guys have asked about me. You guys have asked me about me calling out commissioners, and you asked me calling out about data. And here's a perfect example. In fact, for the gentleman, I apologize, I forget your name. I know you've introduced yourself to me each time I've been there. In Nevada, in 2022, there was $147 million. Write that down and look it up. That went to education alone from cannabis taxes. $147 million. Now, let's just use that tax from cannabis dollars, and then let's go to public opinion versus actual facts. There's tax dollars towards the state education fund directly from marijuana. But yet, ask any of the people who have spoken against marijuana. I asked this live at the last meeting. I asked Miss Amy Nelson if she'd ever spoken to the students at the school about how bad this was for them. She'd never done it. I said, let's go do it together. I will speak with her to the students about how bad this is. In fact, there's now $147 million in the state of Nevada's education fund that should go to work towards telling children how bad this is. Ask Mr. Lenny Shepard how many times he's been to the school to talk to these students. He's a tremendous leader, a mentor. He's someone that people look up to. Why isn't that stuff getting to the children? Why aren't people going there and putting their money behind their mouth there and talking to them? And with regard to the tax stuff, let me explain to you how it works, because it doesn't sound like again, the audience knows, and certainly the commissioners are voting against this don't know. And that's it. There's the basic county relief tax, VCCRT in Nevada. It's under chapter 377 of the Nevada revised statutes. What you'll see in that is of the sales taxes of any item in the state of Nevada, there's a 2% allocation that goes aside, and of that set aside that goes apart, the 2%, 98.25% of it goes to the counties where the sales are made. That's right, to the counties where the sales are made. So here's what you're getting right now in relief tax of the 98.25% in Lander County. It's called zero. Clark County's getting it. All the other counties are getting it. Let's go to some of the data about the counties. You know, people want to go back to, oh, Nevada was for it, Nevada was against it, or we were for it, we were against it. Let's go to the real data on that. There were only 4 counties in the entire state of Nevada in 2017 that voted to approve marijuana. 4 voted to approve it. It's now in every county, 5 of all of them. It's turned around. Now let's go to some more data. Of all those other counties that have since changed, they've changed their position because they looked at the data, they looked at the research. How many of them had an advisory vote, had to take this out to the ballot? None. None of them did. But in Lander County, because we are this small group, and I say we because I'm a business owner there, I'm a property owner there, and I grew up there, and I graduated there, and I go back there, and my folks are there. I love that place. What do we do in Lander County? We have the few outspoken with no data, and we either have that group or we have the ones that just plain don't have the gumption to stand up and say, listen, I don't do it, but you want to know what? It's the right thing to do. Like 3 of your 5 commissioners have done. So yeah, you can take it as a personal attack, Dean. But the fact is you don't know the taxation, you don't know the rules. You've asked them in multiple of these hearings, the rules. But yeah, you don't have the backbone to make the decision yourself, but you want to throw it out to the citizens. And then you want to stand behind the guise of, well, they're asking. Find a single commissioner who can't say just the opposite, who hasn't somebody come to him and support it. But see, nobody brings up how many people have come to them to support it. Nobody's bringing up how far they have to drive to go get it, except poor Kathy. She's the only one that actually needs it medically. Nobody's brought up how much $147 million in education taxes that's positive to the state. How come that hasn't come out? How come it hasn't come out that we don't punish people in Lander County for abusing marijuana? How come that hasn't come out? Instead, you know what we've said? It'll be too big of a drag on our officers. You just heard somebody get up there and say that. This gentleman that got up, I didn't know his name, said, oh, it's going to cost extra resources, extra monitoring. You heard yourselves from the police officer in the meeting where I heard, it's like, yeah, I don't think really taking us much extra time or resources. I don't see that happening. You've heard from the police themselves. But we still have people that jump up and voice opinions. So I'm sorry, that's my response I have so far.
I'm gonna make a comment.
Hold on, I don't-
I'm
Hold on.
gonna make a comment.
I heard this meeting.
That I have received several, emails from people that are, because there is no way for them to get out of town, to either Ogle or Winnemucca, that, have sent me letters and support and asked that I would please bring that up, because there is a lot of elderly people, there are people that, are just too sick, that don't have people to take them as a, and I don't know, you gentlemen were in here, and I'm not looking at this at you for a reason, I'm doing because it hurts to emotion to bother. So what they're starting to do now with the opioids, my half-sister-in-law has bone cancer in her ribs, and they're making her go through pain management. They are no longer prescribing opioids for some of the bone cancer patients because their doctors are so afraid of the monitoring of the opioids and the addiction. She has the gene, which means that she will be taking chemo and the other drug for the rest of her life. However, they will not give her pain medicine. So she's online trying to look for things that might work that would help her pain from her bone cancer. So when we're making this decision, that when it comes to me, you guys, it doesn't matter. By the time this dispensary got here, I'm not going to be here, so it really doesn't matter by the time all this comes to fruition. However, there are other people in these communities that can utilize it that are in pain and are suffering, and it's not all just people who want to get high. There's a lot of pain and opioids, like the disease, one's a neurodegenerative disease. Opioids don't do anything for this, absolutely nothing. And so keep that in mind, not so much for me because it doesn't matter at this point, but other people that suffer from Parkinson's or ALS or things like that, because all of us have been touched by that. Just keep in mind for that it's not about us, it's about what's best for people who can help and have some compassion for those poor people that are in so much pain that they do everything they can do, go to another county to get a stupid marijuana card that doesn't do them any good, the state just takes the money. And so this is a lot broader than just putting it out as an advisory, which doesn't make a damn bit of difference because it's advisory. Okay, the decision was already made.
Thank you.
So the decision's been made, so putting this out is, I'm sorry, but this is, we beat a dead horse and beat a dead horse and beat a dead horse over this, and so it just.
Did you have a comment?
I just wanted to say, sorry, Kathy, I shouldn't.
This is the last comment?
This is the last comment. I'm sorry.
No, not just for you, this is the last, and then we're gonna wrap
No,
it
I'm
up.
spitting it. I'm sorry, Joey, that you're so threatened by this. Why would a questionnaire or an advisory thing make you this upset that you have to attack all of us? And Kathy's right, because it has already passed, it is strictly an advisory question.
Okay, that's great. So I'm gonna say something, then we're gonna move it into a form of a motion. So basically, I said here, and Dr. Ramos is exactly correct. I'm not for marijuana, never have been. But the more that I've said and I've listened to both sides, I can tell you this. For me to say, put it to advisory, that would be easy for me to do. Really, it's a monkey off my back. But for me to sit here and make a decision based off the facts that I've been presented over the several meetings we've had to formulate an opinion in a direction that I feel is right for Lander County is the hard thing to do. It's the hard thing to do, not the easy thing. You think I like people that I've lived with in this town for, I can't tell you how many years, in opposition with me, when they would just say, oh, let's put it to the problem with that, all these voters out there, all these citizens, they don't get the facts, like Commissioner Chop, Thomas, Ancho, Dee. That's what we do. We hear the facts to make an intelligent decision, to move forward. Taxpayers don't have that luxury. So it's like, it's not the easy thing to move forward with a decision, to approve or not to approve based on facts, just to make it an advisory question, which we don't have to do, is the easy thing. If all we need, we ask it, yeah, I agree, this is moved to advisory. So with that, I am going to make a motion that the advisory question basically dies here and does not move forward. So that's my motion. Is there a second? There's a second. All in favor, say aye, and it needs to be spoken, please. Aye?
Aye.
All opposed, say nay?
Nay.
Aye.
Okay, so we have 3 ayes. It passes. It does. So it's done. Okay, we're moving on, guys. 1.12, for discussion and possible action for NRS 241.031. Yeah. Well, do we want to take a break? It's first evaluation. It could last a while. Yeah, we're going to take a 10, 15-minute break, guys.
Actually, it's minutes to be one stop for lunch. At the senior center.
This conference will now be recorded.
All right, guys, we're going to call the meeting back to order. You got Bert on the line?
Yep.
So we're going to move forward with item 1.12. This is for discussion of possible action for NRS 241.031 regarding the performance evaluation of Bartolo Ramos, including but not limited to termination, suspension, demotion, reduction in pay, reprimand, promotion, endorsement, engagement, retention, or no action, and all other matters probably related thereto. So it's been another year that we've had Bert working for us as our county manager, and we're reviewing his performance today. And Mike, if you're all right with that, can we start with you?
Yes. Good afternoon, Bert. So he's on the phone. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir, I hear you.
Okay. I'll start off with, I looked at the paperwork for the identifications. I have no issues with that. The team player meets deadlines, organized skills, communication skills, leadership ability, interaction with coworkers, attendance, and quality work. My rate 2 exceeds expectations. Some of our discussions last year and throughout the year, last year at evaluation time, I requested to continue to form a professional working relationship. You've far exceeded that. Like I said, you communicate very well. You keep me engaged. Informational, you get back quickly. Everything that I would expect out of the role you're in. Going through the courthouse and knowing some of the employees, your leadership skills, not only show with the personnel that we see there at the courthouse. I see it also in the community, the improvement projects. A couple items stick in my mind when we had the bad rains. People were struggling. You sent teams out, you dispersed teams, but you also, for follow-up, went out and engaged yourself. You spent nights and that, making sure that the citizens were, the people that you serve were well taken care of. Like I said, my overall evaluation, I have to compliment you on the job you do. I think you do it very well. I like the succession management belief that you engage in. I think that's a big plus. There's definitely a saying out there, a good leader is when nobody remembers that, or even knows that you're gone. I see that in the people. The roads are good shape. The parks and recs the parks are above anything I've ever seen. That's a reflection on the leadership that you lead. So overall, I'll cut this to an end. My evaluation statement exceeds expectations.
Thank you very much, Mike.
Okay. Thank you, Mike. We'll move on to JR.
Yeah, morning, Bert. This got performance issues. He's a team player. Yes, he is very much a team player. He works well with others. His door is always open. If somebody needs to go see Bert, he'll see you. And he'll tell you the way he sees it's going to be. He's not going to let his personal feelings get involved in it. He just tells you what needs to happen and takes care of it. I really appreciate that. His organizational skills are really good, and he meets these deadlines. Communication, yes, he does a good job on that, and interacts with coworkers. I've seen him out with a shovel in his hand, all covered in mud. I mean, that's working with the people, helping his crew out. And attendance record and quality of work is great, and he does a great job of running the county, works well with others, and goes above and beyond. And his goal is keeping up with the grants and everyday running of the county. So I'll give you a top-notch grade on that, Bert.
Thank you very much, Sheriff.
Thank you, JR. Kathy? Yeah, I'll go with you.
So, yeah, I'm gonna, cause mine is, yeah, pretty basic. For management expertise, one thing I have to say about Bert is that there's been 100 times that there hasn't been once that I've gone in and disagreed with him or didn't understand something, and that he had to kind of have me go through the loops of understanding correctly, or vice versa. And one thing he's excellent about is if he may not agree with me right away, my favorite comment to him is, can you just chew on that for a few days, we'll revisit it and see what conclusion we can come to, which he's excellent at. And one thing I wanted to point out is that when we took over the libraries, and his team who did that and did a phenomenal job both in Battle Mountain and Austin. And I'm very proud of all of you guys that were involved, because I believed in me that you guys could do it. But for the majority, people didn't believe this because we didn't have a library background that we couldn't accomplish it. And you guys have done a wonderful job. And so, and as stated before, the parks are absolutely beautiful. You guys have done a wonderful job. They work with the public and try to, we can't make everyone happy. That's just impossible. We do the best we can and take it case by case. But for the most part, the only, and I have to put this on the record because the person who called and made the complaint, we got a call one day that said, you know, that he was in over his head. And this was a rant that went on for quite a while. And I kept asking, why is he in over his head? And the man could not give me an answer other than his age. And beyond that, there was, and so I just said, if you can tell me how he is in over his head, he's not doing his job, then please by all means. And I have not heard from him. Maybe I insulted him as well, but I still have not heard anything back because, you know, you can't, like I said, you can't make every employee happy. You can't make everybody happy, but as long as we're doing the best that we can for the majorities and we try to fix the holes where they are, you know, that's the best we can do. And I appreciate that you do that, Bert. And so, and as far as taking off time, you don't ever take off time because I know that you don't like going anywhere. So going any personal place is not an option, you know, very rarely do you go anywhere. So overall, you know, I give you an E and appreciate your patience with me because it's been a long couple of years and I haven't been the easiest to get along with along the way, but I appreciate you and your staff and everything that you guys have done and for this community and for myself. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Kathy. Dee?
Okay.
Hi, Bert. Hope your eye's doing better. So under management expertise, I have to say that when I have been working with other counties, between with NACO and Pony Express Territory and other things I work with, I don't know, 6 or 7 different counties, every one of them always has very complimentary things to say about Lander County and our county manager and how he's always right on top of every those things that it takes a lot of time to keep track of all that and make sure that it's going. For working with the employees and all that, I haven't been here long enough, so I really can't comment on that too much. I'm still observing all of that. But your performance of specific responsibilities, you're always prepared, you're always ready for anything, you're ready to answer any of our questions. And you've done an awful lot of hand-holding for me for the past 6 months while I'm learning all of this, and you've been pretty patient with me when I kind of get out of line, so I have to give you an E on that also. So anyway, contrary to what your brother says, I'm giving you an excellent report.
Thank you very much, Ms. Helm.
All right, Bart, it's Ryan here, and I'm going last. So it's like I've given you shining evaluations every time I've ever given one of these to you, and it's like I was trying to ponder on how I make this evaluation something new and different for you, to where basically maybe my communication actually means something more than just being a rote attaboy, and that you actually feel and can appreciate how much I appreciate the job that you do. It's little things for me. It's like, I went to the park for the 4th of July and I spent, I don't know, maybe an hour and a half there. And I got stopped by several people. They're just saying, hey, are you responsible for this? My wife's like, oh, yeah, I'm like, yeah, I'm not a commissioner, but you got our county manager and you got his team below him. He goes, well, whoever it is, I like the direction Lander County is going. It's headed in the right direction. I heard from a Humboldt County commissioner that I got to see during the day. Same comment. He's like, man, Lander County is really stepping it up. So that was really nice to hear that perspective from him. I agree. I go to just these meetings, the pool pack board meeting, and just people come up and they comment on what a good guy Bert is and what a great job he's doing for Lander County, and it makes me feel proud. It just swells me up when I hear that kind of stuff. And I don't say this just out of this will be my 3rd term. So I've got a lot to draw from. I've had other county managers work for me. And the one thing that I can say about other county managers that I don't get from you, Bert, is that I always had people from the members of the community coming to me about problems. And not that I still don't, but what I see the difference here is that a lot of them stop at you. And there's 2 people that could strike me right off the get that, it's like, he said, I just said, well, thank you for not having to come to me. He goes, well, Bert handled it. I didn't have to come to you. Had Bert not handled it, I would have come to you. So I can't tell you how much easier that's made my life as a commissioner, because I'm a pretty high-strung guy. I get wound up, blood pressure goes up, my face turns red. And no matter what I do to try and stop and control it, I can't. But you've made my job a little bit easier, and I want to tell you thank you for that. Now, I want to try to give you some critique and things that I'd like to see you to continue to work on. Number one is I'd like you to continue to work on your education as a leader. I want you to be the best that you can. Keep attending these classes. Find the data where it fits for you and how you can use it in your own life, in your management skills and raising your people. And because, you now have an assistant manager coming up under you. And that's one thing that I'm going to be looking towards you to do, is build a strong assistant manager. I want somebody that when succession plays a part, that we know we have somebody stepping up that can hold those reins and continue Lander County down the path of protecting our way of life. Because I am all about that, protecting our way of life. I mean, you're going to be faced with some big issues, right? That was the whole point of getting this assistant, is we're going to be addressing these wild horses, or net proceeds, state overreach, all those things. And I'm going to be looking to you to really be making a difference in those, because it affects every one of our way of, just what we get from Lander County. So I think I'm pretty much done rambling. I'm giving you a need for excellent. And with that, if nobody else has anything to say, if nobody in the public has anything to say, I'll make a motion. Okay, so my motion would be to give Bartolo Romas the majority of his raise allowable by contract, which I believe is 5%. Yeah, so that would be my motion. Okay, so we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Okay, and that's it. Bart, Bert, good job.
I'd like to just thank all of you, first of all, and I want to apologize for not being there, but attended to some on my evaluation, and I'm not at the meeting. The evaluation doesn't look very good, but I'd like to point out this is only the second commission meeting in 5 years that I've missed for personal reasons. I had a piece of metal we just stuck in my eye last night that I'd have removed this morning, and thank goodness for Dr. Amy Sullivan over there. And small towns where you know people and you can call them and they squeeze you in to take care of you, because I felt like I had some sandpaper rubbing in my eye. It's terrible. But so I apologize to the commission and the community of Austin. That's my favorite meeting to go to because I see people I know and love down there. And I also would like to make sure that the commission knows that we're only as good as the people around us. A lot of the credit that you guys have given me here in this evaluation, I feel like deserves to go to the people that are making it happen, from the library to the 4th of July and the Park with Sean and Donnie with the, when we have a problem come to us, the roads go bad, Donnie's out there personally dumping the gravel, making sure that we can kind of get things back up to snuff. So we're addressing them problems. So the credit belongs to them guys. I always feel like we're losing. And I guess that's kind of the driving factor, is it feels like I'm way behind, and I'm always worried about a day like today because you just feel like there's probably more you could do somewhere. But I truly want to thank each and every one of you, and hopefully next year you guys are proud of the direction we're going and the work that we continue to put in. And that's what I say. And I can't thank Liz and Mike enough for everything that they do, because anybody that's been in our office knows that Liz, Carly, Lakin, Sierra, Jessica, them ladies like I say, they deserve all the credit. I end up going out and talking to people, but thank you guys all very much. Truly appreciate it.
All right, thank you, Bert. Okay, all right, moving on. We're gonna 1.13 is for discussion and possible action to approve, disapprove the opioid settlement agreement, Exhibit K for Kroger, in an amount of $5,309.10. So what are we looking at here, guys?
What is this?
Basically, is this a settlement that Lander County received?
Yeah, we've got, it's another one of the opioid things. I just want to say for the record, I did not read all the way through this one. 460 pages, and we're getting $5,309.10. Okay?
Yeah.
This is not something I'm going to wade through. In broad terms, I went through it. It's the same sort of thing as the other opioids. Basically, if you agree and you accept the money, you can't sue them. We don't have a broker. I don't know of anybody around here that, I mean, the nearest broker is what? Colorado? Okay, anyway, they're around. I think there's one, I thought there was one here. But they're not exactly, local things. So, in general, on the opioid settlements, you're agreeing to accept the money that goes in for, and there's certain attached to it that you always amended. We just had the opioid presentation. That's part of what the money goes for, those types of programs. I'm just letting you know that I can't wait through that much and tell you the specifics of it. 160 pages is just ridiculous.
Okay, thank you, Bill. If the commission has no questions, or if there's no public questions or comments, we'll go ahead and do a motion.
A motion to approve the opioid settlement agreement, Exhibit K with Kroger in the amount of $5,309.10.
Well, second. Have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Okay, moving into correspondence. 2.1, correspondence reports, future agenda items. Anybody have anything on this?
Where are we with the energy company?
Which one?
The energy company? Do we have any
Oh.
updates on that?
Maybe we can, Liz, ask her if there's time maybe for maybe an update on Hughes Energy, that deal, see if we've got any further down the road on that. Maybe we can have an update. Anything else, guys? Okay. We'll move into public comment for non-agenda items only. Is there public comment? Yes, ma'am.
My name is Nate, for the record. I'm the executive director of the Austin Chamber of Commerce. On June 27th, 2024, we were notified with our reimbursement that we could not get our $3,000 worth of swag reimbursed because we'd be making a profit off of it. Per our grant guidelines with Lander County, that's not stated. And we get reimbursed for our swag for the 4 years that I've been here. So I was just wondering if you guys had any explanation to why that's changed.
What's the swag? I'm sorry.
So it's promotional advertisement, t-shirts, cups, stickers, keychains, anything like that, and that's what we utilize to generate revenue.
That stays within your group, right? The profit that you make stays with the tourism board.
Yes, so that's how we generate the revenue, to help sustain the chamber, and so eventually we can then become self-sustaining off of this and, lower our tax dollars grants coming through. So I would just like to know if you have concerns on this, because this is new news to me.
So, if it wasn't approved, who didn't approve it?
First didn't approve it, and this is public comment, so you guys really can't meet.
Oh, yeah, that's right. So thank you for your comment. We will look into it because it's public comment. We can't discuss it. I'm sorry.
Right.
You're right. Yeah. So
So,
we'll look
and then
into
if
it.
we could put it on a future agenda item or anything like that, so.
If it's gonna be changed in the guidelines, because the guidelines say that Cynthia was writing, executive board and chief, grants shall not be used for personnel, i.e. wages, et cetera, we need that. Grants must not be used to pay for prizes of any kind, cash or otherwise, does not state this way. So if that's gonna be changed, we'll have to.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes.
Sarah Ruby, I'm the president of the Chamber of Commerce, for the record. So how do we know if this is going to be put on the agenda? Who do we talk to?
We told you we're going to discuss it, and if we find that it needs to, but we will get a response either way. If we can handle without putting on the agenda, we will.
That would be fantastic. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
I have a couple public comments.
Okay.
Real quick that I'd like to go over. Off of what Bert said, definitely a big thank you, because I went to the park as well, and I was very surprised with the amount of people that were there, especially with the long weekend. I figured everybody would be off campus. So in all departments and everybody that is involved under Bert's supervision, you guys make it easy to give him, like I said, an excellent review. So that's one thing. I know we covered this once. There's been some changes to it. I talked to Bert, told him I wanted to talk about this. But Mitch Domadala was the wrestling coach in Battle Mountain High. He was inducted into the Hall of Fame for the state of Nevada. As of July 4th, he was informed that he also, on the first recommendation, will be inducted in December to the National Hall of Fame. There's 6 people total in the state of Nevada, as well as the Eureka wrestling coach that Mitch made a nomination. He will be inducted first time as well. Another public Lander County citizen, I got a little write-up. I'm going to cut it short because I'm going to give it to Bert for the write-up. Devin Huda, he's been a Battle Mountain resident for right around 40 years. Most people know him, but in 2017, Devin began competitively throwing both shot and discus, mostly for fun. 2020, it became clear he could be quite competitive. Well, everybody knows that. at a national and international level. It began by vying for a spot on Team USA. Devin has, I gotta go back, 'cause I wish one of the doctors stayed. Basically, he has macular degeneration, which was diagnosed as a young kid, so Devin's legally blind. So he's been a member of the USA's Paralympic track and field team. He throws simply shot put now in the F12 classification. In the past year, Devin has completed both nationally, setting multiple US records for shot put, most recently in early May, Spokane, Washington, with a throw of 14.76 meters, and internationally traveling to somewhere in Mexico I can't pronounce, Santiago, Chile, and Paris, France, where he placed sixth in the Paralympic World Games. Currently, the International Paralympic Committee reports Devin is with a ranking of 4th in the world. He will leave the week of July 15th. It'll be televised live on primetime for his spot. He'll be vying for a spot on the World Paralympic team, which will be held in Paris, France. It's in the same venues and everything as the Olympics are. So, like I said, if you see him, please tell him good luck. And he wrote a little thing. It said that I thought was good. I just got this long. Devin would like to recognize and thank Battle Mountain community for the endless support he has received over the years. This little town understands what it means to live big and have shown up in force in support of his throwing and where he's at in his career. There's really something special about this community, and Devin said he's thankful and honored to be a part of it. So, and Sean has so if people watch, there is a wrestling camp coming up, and he's recruited, I guess, I call him the Hoff now. Mitch will be heading the camp up, giving back to the community as well. So thanks for setting that up, Sean.
Nice. Good, thank you. Is there more public comment?
Just one other thing. Since we call him Kathy Ann Joe Senior, people are so confused, like he passed away, and it was my Aunt Thomas's and the loved woman. I had shot a message to her that thought maybe a little bit down the road that we could do some type of appreciation to her for the Civic Center, because she was one of the people who got that started and made sure that followed through, and has been huge as far as it was huge with information. And then her daughters had said that she was very instrumental in the Elvis Park, but I would like to do some research on that, because if we're gonna do it, we make it all inclusive of all the incredible things that she did for this community, for Lander County in general. And so just to take that on that, she was the one that got me my job at the sheriff's office, which I was one of the, even though the county took me on, I was the longest standing joint employee that the state had ever had, because I had was hired on under the joint program, which she used to work at, and was then hired on subsequently to the county. And she did the things that from teaching, girls softball to everything that she did. I think that some type of recognition to her, not just because she's my aunt, because she's an absolutely wonderful person that we might look, because she's just very much loved.
And real quick, off of that, Kathy, at the hospital board, I did put that out for the meeting. The Rose Garden that was the employees built years ago, they had a sign that was somewhat deteriorated. The Rose Garden is going to be cleaned up and maintained, sprinklers and everything else. And Jason's going to start looking at more of like a granite type, more for, with we're going to keep it to exactly how the employees wrote on that sign that's been there for so many years. So.
And that would be wonderful to pass on to
yes, I will.
Family. So thank you for that.
Awesome, thank you. Any other public comment? Yeah, I'll hear a motion for adjournment.
I'll make a motion to adjourn. Second it.
Okay, motion and second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye.